all right, here we go, growers. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to what is probably my favorite of this past three-part episode. My name is Andrew Woodward. I'm the owner of Aero-Gro. We are a company that specializes in helping people who want to grow indoors, whether it's food or medicines or herbs for cooking or whatever it may be. We help them to do that using a variety of different techniques that are all covered under the blanket term of hydroponics. But tonight, this is the fun part. Tonight, I am going to demonstrate for you using this fancy schmancy rig that I rigged up about a year ago, hoping I'd someday get to use, how aeroponics works on a practical level and give you some ideas for how you can actually buy your own bits and pieces to put together your own aeroponic system right at home. And the best part of it is it's not that difficult. The second best part of it is it's not that expensive. And the third part is you can do it in probably a weekend. So really, I'm just going to dive in and I'm going to show you how this rig works, because this rig, hopefully, if it works the way I intended, will explain to you the principle, kind of show visually, I guess I should say, the principle of hydroponics, including all of the bits and pieces that you will actually need to build your own system. They're all shown right here in miniature form. The containers are obviously scaled down to show you on a desktop, you know, what you can do. But in the real world, these would be replaced by buckets. So you would have this, for example, this bucket here would be this container here with a, would be this container here with the return line on the bottom. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but it also has a return, I'll show you that under camera in a few minutes. Anyway, we'll get back to that. So this system is set up with a nutrient tank and some pumps and some timers and some hoses and the container where your plant would live, if there were a plant. You know what, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to pinch off a little branch here and just pretend that's where our plant lives, and its roots are dangling inside the container here. And there is a spray nozzle right here inside the container which will spray the nutrient solution to the roots periodically. You'll see that in a moment. And then the nutrient solution will be returned to the tank to be recycled again. So this is what's called a closed system, which means that the nutrient solution that you put into this container here doesn't ever leave the system. It goes through, feeds the plants, and the only way it gets out of the system is by being absorbed by the plants and either used by the plants or released through transpiration through the leaves of the plants. So it's a really very efficient system and extremely low use of water, which is why a system very similar to this is being used, or being talked about being used for the space program on the mission to Mars, because it's very efficient and it doesn't use a lot of water. And it grows very fast, which is another benefit. We'll talk about that more. So, okay, so what we have is I tinted it blue to make it easier to see. And what you will see in a moment here, I'm going to plug it in, and you're going to see that there are two timers here, right? So if we give you another view here, the two timers there, they're about to turn on, and the one on the left is the timer for the nutrient solution. So what that means is periodically this timer will turn on the pump that's right above it, and it will deliver nutrient solution from the nutrient tank, which is right here, to the grow chamber, which is right here. And the timer on the right-hand side is the one that periodically will move the liquid from the grow chamber back to the nutrient tank. So each one performs a specific duty, and they're on different timing cycles. So what you're going to see in a moment when I turn this on is this blue liquid. When this timer comes to its timer setting, it will turn on this pump, and you'll see the blue liquid travel through this line, down the pump, up and over, and it's going to go to the sprayer. It's actually this pump here it's going to go into. It's hard to follow with your eyes. Yeah, it's pulling it through here, and then it's going to come down into the pump. It's going to go up from the pump, down to the sprayer, and then it's going to feed the roots, if there were roots. Just pretend there are roots. And then a little bit later, when there's a bit of liquid down here, the other pump will turn on. The blue liquid will travel back, go down to the pump, go up through the line, over, and get returned to the nutrient tank. Also, disturbing the water on the way down, which aerates the water, which is critical for health in aeroponics and hydroponics. So very cool, double duty. Okay, here we go. I'm going to plug this in. Just kidding. Okay, there we go. 29. Okay, I have this one set at 30 seconds and the other set at 1 minute. So when this 23 runs down to 0, the nutrient tank pump is going to turn on for 5 seconds. You can probably see that on camera. It says 5 underneath the 13 there. And then it will return it after another 30 seconds. Ready? Watch the blue liquid travel from here over. And sprays. There you go. Now, in 21 seconds, the other timer is going to turn on, or the other pump is going to turn on due to that timer. And it will return whatever liquid is here back to the nutrient tank, and it will empty the grow chamber, thus recycling the nutrient solution and continuing the process. Here we go. Boom. That's it. That's how it works. So really, this is why I say, I don't know if you've ever looked inside of a dishwasher or underneath the hood of a dishwasher, but a dishwasher, it's a funny comparison to make, but often when people ask me, how does this work? How do these hydroponics and aeroponics work? I say, well, it's a lot like a fancy dishwasher, because a dishwasher really is a sequence of, it's a sequence of events controlled by pumps and timers. And you're spraying liquid, washing dishes, right? And then you have circulation pumps, which keep that water flowing around. We don't have that here, but you do have a return pump that drains the dishwasher back into the drain. That's effectively what this one is. It's draining it back, right? But in this case, we're sending it back to a nutrient tank, not into our drain. So that would be called a drain back system. That's different. This is also cool because it does, like I said, disturbs the water in the nutrient tank, which is very effective in creating that aeration, which is desirable in hydroponics and aeroponics. I just love this thing. Okay, so let me break this down for you. So what we have here is essentially, I mean, don't count the containers because that's just me wanting to present this on camera. They were a bit expensive, but the rest of these parts are incredibly inexpensive. And they needed to be during these experimentation phases because if you're developing products, you use a lot of different parts, and most of them don't ever get used again. They're just used for experimentation purposes, so they had to be inexpensive. And it turns out that these parts are the parts that were used in the final designs because even though they're inexpensive, they work perfectly. But the first round of parts that I went through were not so great. And what you're seeing here are the cream of the crop. These are the parts that work well. I've had these, I've had these in operation in actual systems, in tents and grow buckets, and working incredibly well. But what we're looking here is about, let's see, $3-4 for a time, so $8, 15, 20, maybe 40, under $50 in parts to make this functional system is about $50 in parts, not including the containers. So what that means is if you were to take these elements and components and convert them over to just some food safe buckets that you might have at home, those white ones from Home Depot, or actual grow buckets like this, and just take these components and adapt them the way that I'm going to show you, You could have a system working, a hydroponic or aeroponic system working at home with a continual feed closed loop system like this for under $100 with the buckets and everything else that you would need for that setup. Now that's not including, obviously that's not including the tent and all of that, but it would be pretty easy to do that, and that's in fact what you're looking at right here. So what I'm going to do is going to, let's see here, is there anything else I can show you on this before I put it away? Because it is pretty cool. I hate to put it away prematurely if we're, oh, okay, yeah, let me talk about a few more things. Okay, so these sprayers, these spray heads or spray nozzles right here, I'm going to unplug this for a second, and I'm going to show you. Okay, is that the one? No, it's going to be number 4, number 1. Okay, I'm sorry, let me just see to turn this on real quick. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So this nozzle here is, these are really inexpensive. I mean, I get 50 packs of these for, I don't know, $10 or something on AliExpress. And by the way, in the description for this video, you will find, right now, if you go down and look at it, you will find the list of products that are used in this video, and there are links to where you can buy them right on Alibaba. That's exactly where I bought these parts, is what I've given you links to. So this is the 360-degree nozzle, and it's really all it does. It distributes the water in a 360-degree pattern, which in this case is ideal. It sprays all your roots everywhere, it gets everything all saturated, and that's what you want. But you can also get these in 180-degree varieties or 90-degree varieties where the spray pattern is fairly confined and restricted. If you had an application for that, I'm not sure why you would in an application like that. 360-degree spray pattern is pretty effective for what we're doing here, so I don't think you'd need another kind, but that's what we use. And these are, yeah, like I said, they're about $10 for 50, I think it is. Might be even cheaper than that. And they're also available, I believe, on Amazon, but I didn't buy them there. I went right to AliExpress. These little adapters here, these little push to connect, quick connect, disconnect, quick connect, disconnect. Quick connect, I think is what they're actually called. These are great. This allows you to just insert tube right in there really quickly and then just pull it out again, and it's a watertight seal. They're used in reverse osmosis filtration systems. That's where they come from. They're food safe, water safe fittings made for transporting water from one place to another. That's what that's about. And I give you a link to those two. Actually, yeah, this one is, I don't have a link to that right at the moment. I'm going to put that down in the description before you even probably watch this another time. There is a 90-degree elbow that I do put a link for. This is the straight one. This is not the 90-degree elbow. I will put a link to this as well. And you would simply drill a hole in the lid of your bucket, your 5-gallon food grade bucket of some kind. You would drill a hole and you would just screw this in there. And then you would put a piece of tubing right here. You run that tubing down as far as you needed to go down into the bucket. And you would take one of these little nozzles, and literally, this is how easy it is. This is just insanely easy. Watch this. You literally just can, they're so tiny, you just screw this right into the end of the tube. It's amazing. Like, you don't need anything else. It just goes right into the end of this vinyl tubing, which I'll also give you a link for down below. Just like that. Just screw that puppy in there. Done. Bam. Watertight seal, and it sprays beautifully. Just amazing. Super cheap. Okay. That's that. Now, what else can I, whoops. What else can I tell you about this? Okay, tubing. Yeah, let's talk about tubing. All right. So this is for demonstration purposes. This see-through, what's it called? See-through flexible silicone tubing. It's food safe and all of that, but it's also very expensive, and you'd have no reason to use this normally. I did this because it's see-through, so I could do the demonstration. Normally what you will use is this blue part that you see right here. I'll grab some. Looks like it's this. It's just a big spool of tubing that you can get again on, oh, you know what? I'm not sure I put a link to that either. I will put one down in the description, but the tubing is also very inexpensive, and it's vinyl, or nylon rather. And yeah, just looks like that. And you could just get one of these little cutters. Sometimes they're even included with the tubing when they send you the tubing. And it's so easy to work with. You just cut off a piece, just like that. It's so easy to work with this stuff. And you do always want to make a nice clean cut there before you insert into any of these quick connects or anything like that. But this is a really good way to go. And again, this is from the world of reverse osmosis filtration systems. That's where all this stuff comes from. And it's been migrated over to hydroponics industry, but it is essentially all the same equipment. So let's take a look at the fittings here, that L-shaped fitting that I was telling you about. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Okay, now the 90-degree, no, we do it this way. The 90-degree, whoops, I'm doing everything in reverse. Okay, the 90-degree is the one that I do give you a link for down below, and you use a lot of these in these types of rig. Put a little light on that, see if you can see that a little better. Yeah. So that 90-degree fitting, I've used probably 100 of these things in the development stage, but they're really great because what's so advantageous about it is that it allows you to go through the side of a bucket and deliver or retrieve nutrient solution from the bucket, to put solution back in or take solution out of the bucket. And by using different lengths of, ooh, can you see this on camera? Different lengths of blue tubing on the bottom here, you can control at what point or how deep this liquid gets before it leaves the container. Here's why that's important. In your grow chamber, it's nice to have a little buffer zone where if something were to go wrong and you were to lose power or something, then your plants would die very quickly if they didn't have any nutrient solution. Because remember, in aeroponics, your roots are suspended in air, essentially. And if that spray stops, and you're spraying only normally for 5 seconds every 15 minutes, let's say, it can be more often than that in warmer conditions. But in the case of some of the ones that I do indoors, it was 5 to 10 seconds every 10 to 15 minutes. That was pretty average. And it sprays them and then it stops. Well, if that stops for more than 2 or 3 hours, then your roots could conceivably completely dry out and you could have a total loss of your crop. So to help prevent that, to help mitigate that, I always liked to build in a small buffer on the bottom. This meant that if I controlled, I'll put this back on camera here, if I control the length of this tubing, I control how much liquid is left in the tank that can be picked up by the tube. So if I make that tube shorter than it is right now, the water level will be allowed to go higher. If I make the tube longer, the water level will be much lower. Hopefully that makes sense. So, but my point of all that was, A, that you can build these sort of redundancies into your system, doing nothing more than lengthening or shortening a piece of tubing. That's amazing. So really, these platforms, these systems, these ways of working are very efficient and very inexpensive and very adaptable, right? So you can fit these into, like I said, into buckets or into PVC tubing. Also, you can drill right into the side of the tubing and you can install your fittings in there. Different ways of doing that. But that's the kind you're going to want to get. And do though, here's another bit of advice. You'll see probably, let me see if I can get this on camera. This is metal. This is actually, yeah, you can probably see that that's metal. That's some sort of a stainless steel is used for that. It might be nickel plated or something, I'm not sure. But It's not ideal. Really, whenever you can, you want to get fittings that are these white ones that are all plastic, and they're made for food and water and to get wet and no problem. There's no metal to rust or corrode or degrade or whatever. So do look for the plastic ones. Again, I'll put some links below, but that's something you just want to keep an eye out for. Also, with the tubing, you want to make sure that your tubing is food grade. And all of this used for reverse osmosis filtration systems is obviously all food grade. It's literally carrying water. So the ultimate solvent, water. So yeah, it needs to be food grade. But here's what I want to tell you about pumps. This is really important. And I'm just going to leave the rig here while I talk about this because I hate to take it down. I'm going to plug it back in. Let's watch it work. And while we're talking here, and pumps are really the essence of this whole talk tonight because the pumps are the thing. I just Shakespeareized my presentation tonight. I said, the pump is the thing. Okay. There are all kinds of pumps in the world. Believe me, I know. I've bought most of the wrong ones at some point, and I have some of the wrong ones on the table here, so I can tell you all about what not to do. Okay. At the end of the day, the bottom line is that these work great because they are a type of pump called a peristaltic pump. Now, what that means, peristalsis, that's like how you digest food. It's how the food gets moved through your digestive system with muscles. It's basically when you take a tube and you squeeze it and move the contents along the tube that way. You go like that. Whoa. That's peristalsis. Like that. All right. So that's what these pumps do is this liquid goes down into the pump and a motor's turning and the tube is running right past the motor and the motor's turning this wheel and the wheel is pinching the line and pushing the fluid along many times a second. So it's a piece of tubing and it's literally pushing it. And the reason that's important in hydroponics is because your nutrient solution sometimes gets a little funky and you get debris in the system. You get little bits of root matter or you have some nutrients that are a bit clumpy. And other pumps have problems with that, but peristaltic pumps, from my experience, work really well to overcome that. Because of the physical nature of what they're doing, they're literally squeezing the tube and pushing whatever's in it through. So whatever's inside the tube never comes in contact with an impeller blade or with a face of a pump or a diaphragm or anything like that. There's nothing like that. It never leaves the tube. The tube simply gets squeezed and pushes the liquid through. Great design for this type of system. Now, what you'll be tempted to do if you go on Alibaba or AliExpress and you're looking at pumps, because there, like I said, there are a lot of pumps to choose from. And many of them are really enticing because you'll see some that come in all different configurations like this, like a 90-degree type of deal. And you'll see them and you'll be like, oh, well, a pump is a pump and this has the arrangement that I like at a 90-degree, so let's buy that one. No, you can't just do that because this is a circulation pump, right? This doesn't have that little mechanism to push the fluid through. It has something much more prone to failure where the water has to go in and contact these impeller blades, plastic impeller blades, and then get pushed through the pump. So the liquid is literally contacting the interior components of the pump. That's no good. It's okay if the water is clean. And this is actually meant to circulate hot water in a hot water heating system. That's what this is designed for. So a completely different thing. In the water inside of a heating system, of course, there wouldn't be anything other than water and potentially some antifreeze or whatever you're running. But this pump wouldn't have any problem with that because the water is void of anything that could cause the impeller problems. But you don't want to use these in anything related to hydroponics. It's just not going to work. The other thing you might be tempted to buy is, let's see here. Yeah, there are, well, I have a whole bunch of them here. I have different types of pumps here, but there are, okay, pumps like this that you're probably familiar with. There, oops, switch over again here. There we go. This is the type of pump that you might find in a, let me get over here, a less expensive aquarium setup, or you might find it in your cat water fountain if you have one of those water fountains for your pets that circulates the water. They use these types of pumps. This is a fully submersible waterproof pump that they're fairly reliable. I mean, these are not as reliable as the peristaltic pumps, in my opinion. And also, and I'm about to say the big reveal here about all these pumps, it's very difficult to get these to self-prime. Okay, let me talk about self-priming for a second. So, when you set up this whole system, let's say we just stuck all these tubes together and we hooked our pumps up and all this, just this rig you see right in front of you. We just got done with this, right? And we want to turn it on and it's full of water and we think everything's going to run great. Well, it does run great here. This is one that I demonstrated for you because these are peristaltic pumps. They are self-priming pumps, which means that I don't have to first do all kinds of acrobatics to get liquid into the tubing first so that the pumps can work eventually, if ever, and then shut down and not work again and then all your plants die. I don't have to get it primed. It'll prime itself and then it'll keep priming itself every time the pump turns on. But with I'm sure you can hear my pain, and I've had some bad experiences with other pumps. With these other pumps that do not self-prime, you would hook everything up, fill it full of liquid, turn it on, and nothing would happen. The pump would turn on, but nothing would move because it can't prime itself. So what do? You get on the other end of it, like siphoning gas out of an old car or something. You're drawing on the tube, trying to suck the liquid through, try to get it primed. It's terrible. It's just I actually do have a plunger to do that, but it's awful. So that's what happens if you go with one of these circulation pumps or with one of these submersible pumps. Now these are supposed to be self-priming, and they usually do prime, but they're a pain in the butt. And here's the other thing: eventually is not good enough. If you're working with hydroponics, aeroponics, you need it to work every single time. And it needs to work for the whole 5 seconds. You only have 5 or 10 seconds worth of irrigation time, so you need it to work, right? Okay, so the way you do that is don't buy anything other than a peristaltic pump for aeroponics. For aeroponics, it's absolutely my recommendation. For hydroponics, where you're delivering water in a different way other than through a sprayer, I would actually recommend a few other different types of pumps. But for aeroponics, let's say, only a peristaltic pump. And you can use these peristaltic pumps also for other applications, including straight hydroponics or even in some aquaponics installations, to simply move water around. That's no problem. So the other thing I can tell you about are the timers. Now, these timers that I use here, let me get this on camera a little bit. There we go, that way, okay. So yeah, like I said, these are about maybe 4 or 5, I know it's not quite in focus, is it? Close enough. $4 or $5 a piece. They're very inexpensive on AliExpress, and they're easy to set up. Let's see, can I show you the back of one of these? Let me see here, well, yeah, probably. Okay, so on the back of one of these, this is the inside of one of these, the front side of one of these timers. If it was plugged in right now, you'd see the display lighting up right here, and then you have 4 buttons here which are used to program it, right? But really what we care about are just these connections right here, these little screw terminals right here. And this is where you very simply, you hook up your 12-volt power supply, and then you have two terminals that are they act like a switch, that are turning on or off your timers, okay? So each one of these timers is going to a pump. So there's one pump per timer and one timer per pump. And that's how I do it. Now, it is possible to actually give one of these timers double duty. And what I mean by that is any timer such as these will have a normally on state or a normally off state, meaning when it's not being powered, it's either turning your device on or your device is off when the timer's off. If it's a normally on state, then when your timer clicks on, if it's a normally on state, it means that even when the power is off in your timer, your device will still be running. In a normally off state, it will not be running. So what we do is we can toggle that back and forth. That's what our timer does. It's basically a toggle switch. But if we tell it, okay, when you're in this position, I want you to be running the nutrient pump. And when you're in this position, I want you to be running the return line and bring the nutrient solution back. Run the other pump. Run the sprayer and then the return line. Run the sprayer, then run the return line. Same timer does that. Sprayer, return line. You can do that if you have a double, it's called a double throw. Well, you need a timer that does that. You need a timer with a normally on and a normally off state. And the way you'll know that is, I'll show you. On your timer, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but on your, I'll try. All right, on your timer right here, you have you'll see it says low, right? But then you'll see there are two other terminals next to it. Between those three terminals, you can control the normally on and the normally off state. Remember that toggle action I was showing you? Well, the middle point is that one right there, and toggle to the right is right there, toggle to the left is right there, and then you have your power leads. That's it. So, yes, you could make one single timer run both functions. I didn't because I thought it would be easier to show you how it works by having two timers, two pumps, make it very, very clear. And often I will set everything up exactly the same way because it's easier for me to work with if I have one timer per pump. And we lost our plant there. So that's what I can tell you about timers. Now, these timers are available in a wild array of configurations, but really what you're looking for is simplicity. So if it looks like these here, and there is a link in the description you can follow, but if it looks like these here, you're probably fine. You can always give me a call. Let me know what you're looking for, and I can help you to find what you need. You know what? I'm going to jump on YouTube, see if anybody's actually chatting here. This is supposed to be a live show after all. I should really remember that. All right. Oops, turn the volume off here. Okay. Anybody? Yeah, I'm just going to say something here. Hello, world. If I can type across this gizmo here. There we go. All right, so what else can I show you here? Spray. I have little cheat buttons here. I can make it spray, or I can make it return. It's so awesome. I love this thing. All right, what else can I show you? Oh yes, valves. Okay, so sometimes in cases where you're using gravity to move your liquid back down to a reservoir or something like that, you will need a valve. This is a 12-volt water valve. It's very simple gizmo. This is two leads, positive and negative, go to 12 volt. Your water goes in one side, and when it's powered, the water goes out the other side. When it's off, the water's off. This is a normally off state. Remember we were talking about that. So when there's no power and it's off, so is the water. The water is off. When you power it and it goes bzz, and that turns it on, and then your water starts to flow, okay? Very simple. It also uses the same tubing that we're using for absolutely everything else. This 1/4-inch tubing, perfect. This stuff's great. So that's another thing you'll probably need at some point, but it's not used in this system. I just wanted to mention it because it's another component that you can easily get on AliExpress. They're not expensive. I think a little valve like this is, wow, I don't know, $4 or $5, I think. Maybe not even that, $3 or $4, I believe it is. So very inexpensive again. And let's see, so wiring these things, here's what we do. You know what, I'll also put a link to the wire that I use for this. It's a specific gauge of wire that you can buy on Amazon. It's also very inexpensive. But I just use a wire stripper, that's it. And these little devices all have screw terminals in them. So, well, not all, but most of them do have screw terminals. And you can look for that in the listing, that they have these terminals, or these little screw terminals right there for connecting wire. Your wire actually goes in there, right there, and then you tighten it with the screwdriver right there. Very easy to hook up. And the other thing is, here's a helpful tip, is that all of these devices have written on them a number. In this case, it's XY-LJ02. So if you were to go on Google and type in XY-LJ02 and then the word timer, you would undoubtedly, in the first 5 seconds, find instructions for how to program it, a schematic. You'd find 100,000 people that want to sell you one. You find all kinds of good stuff just by following the numbers that are written on these boards. They will lead you down a rabbit hole that's a lot of fun and leads to a lot of other ideas sometimes. So that's how you do that. Now, what else can I tell you about here? You know, I think that's about it for the setup of the aeroponics and the components. Did anybody write back? No, not yet. Okay, all right, no problem. I am going to show you a couple things going on in the garden behind me before I cut this off. And I wanted to show you, I'm really excited about this. I want to show you my hot peppers. And I'm also going to show you some tomatoes. Let me just get my portable dealio going here. Okay, camera 4, nope, camera 1, there we go, okay. Yeah, check this out. All right. I have these beautiful, beautiful hot peppers coming in right now. They're just, I can't wait. I'm going to, actually this week, I'll be making tomato pineapple salsa. And I'm going to do a video of it and post it using peppers from the garden. Wait, there are more of them here. They're like, oh God, they're everywhere. They're like, look at this. It's like trying to find Bigfoot. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Got some there. And then I think there are some more hiding. Yeah, there's one over here. Yeah. There's one over here. Oh yeah, it's not even, oh, I didn't even see that one. There's another green one there, just popped in. Wow, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that one. That's a big one. Wow, that is a big one. Look at that one. That green one right in the middle. Holy cow. And then there's, all right, this one's not fully ripened yet, but wow, that's coming in. Look at that, look at that. That's amazing, I'm so excited. So usually I use 2 whole peppers in my pineapple salsa recipe, so I will get that going this week for you. Okay, before I get too carried away, let me show you these. These are, I love these things. Okay, these I'm really excited about. These are called orange hat tomatoes, and what I love about them is that they grow in these tiny little clusters, but they're really thick with tomatoes. Look at all these. Look at all these tomatoes. Let me get the exposure a little better here. Is that showing up? Wait, hold on. Look at that. Oh my gosh, those are just amazing. All right. Look at that. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And then we have Micro Tom tomatoes that are coming in. They're not in yet. They're just in flowering stage now. But micro toms are they're very similar to the orange hat. They grow in clusters like that, well, cherry tomatoes. Yeah, they're looking good. Oh wait, is that yes it is. That's a tomato, yay! We have a first tomato, there it is, right in the middle there. Nice, very exciting. I just saw it just now. That's so cool. All right, so then we have, let's see, some herbs and stuff. Some purple basil, that's always nice to look at. Tastes really good too. Then we have more peppers because I love peppers. And then we have, going down, 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 we have some tomatoes coming in, yeah. Now for those of you who are actually working with the Aero-Gro Genesis right now and received your seed packets, these are the tomatoes that came. These are the Sakura cherry tomatoes that came with your unit. They're coming in right now, and there are about to be a lot of them. There were a lot of blossoms on here. Most of them are towards the back. But yeah, I'm really excited about those as well. I have one sitting on my desk right here I'm about to try off of this batch. So that should be pretty exciting. Yeah. Let's see what else. Got some basil. Some nice basil coming in. Parsley. Oh yeah, I could go for some of that. Yeah, let's have some parsley. That looks good. Oh yeah, it's nothing better than that. All right. All right, I won't get too carried away. But these tomatoes, I mean, come on, that's just amazing. So exciting. All right, so that's what's growing on the green wall here at Aero-Gro. So thank you for joining me, and I hope this gave you some idea of what the basic components are that are involved in this type of venture. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to give me a call. You can find our number on the Aero-Gro website, aero-gro.com. And also, let's see, I can do other videos as well for other aspects of building or growing. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I will do my best to bring it to you. So, until I see you next time, thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting Aero-Gro. Do go and grow something, and let me know about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Thank you for joining me.